Number of buses having to divert, and in Somerset, the A371 at Wincanton is closed off the Holdbrook roundabout following a collision. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm Lee Anderson, Reform UK Member of Parliament for Ashfield. Tonight on the show, we've got GB News' senior political commentator Nigel Nelson. We've got author and broadcaster Emma Wolfe, property tycoon Ehsan Ahmed, and Married at First Sight reality TV star Nathan Campbell. But first, let's go to the news.
Good evening, I'm Sophia Wensler with your headlines at 7 o'clock. The UK's leading stock market suffered its worst daily drop in more than 5 years in the wake of Donald Trump's tariffs. The FTSE 100 closed 4.95% down, a level not seen since the COVID pandemic in March 2020. It comes as US markets have tumbled again as the US president said China played it wrong by retaliating to his tariffs. The US markets opened sharply lower after Beijing slapped a 34% tariff on all US imports. Moments before the US markets opened, Trump said China panicked and his policies would never change. Meanwhile, some breaking news in the last few minutes. Mr. Trump has extended the deadline for the sale of TikTok for 75 days, saying tremendous progress had been made, but more work was needed to secure approvals. Mr. Trump added that he looked forward to working with TikTok and China to close the deal and that he did not want the app to go dark. In other news, comedian and actor Russell Brand has been charged with rape and 4 other sexual offences following a Met Police investigation. The charges relate to 4 women with alleged incidents spanning from 1999 to 2005 in Bournemouth and Westminster. They include rape, oral rape, indecent assault and 2 counts of sexual assault. 50-year-old Brand will appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on the 2nd of May. The investigation began after media reports last year and remains ongoing. Meanwhile, in the last few hours, Brand has posted in a video on X saying, "What I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity." Elsewhere, Buckingham Palace has said the King was not aware of Prince Andrew's alleged links to a Chinese spy. It comes after a new document claims that the King was aware of an investment fund in which Yang Tengbo, the alleged spy, was directly involved. Tengbo was excluded from the UK on national security grounds by the then Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, in March of 2023. A Buckingham Palace spokesperson has responded, saying while His Majesty met with the Duke and his advisor to hear outline proposals for independent funding over the past year, the individual known as H6 was not mentioned at any time or in any way as part of these discussions. Now, pubs, clubs and restaurants across the country could soon stay open later under a major shake-up of licensing rules. The government's giving mayors new powers to overrule councils and boost nightlife in key areas like London, Manchester and Birmingham. The sector's been hit with a £3.4 billion rise in costs this month alone. Ministers hope the change will lead to more late-night openings and alfresco dining across the UK. Chancellor Rachel Reeves says it's about cutting red tape and helping the hospitality industry grow.
Start with a pilot. In London, we want to give Mayor Sadiq Khan the chance to be able to give licences to enable more outside dining, to allow bars and cafes and nightclubs to stay open a bit longer in the evening so that more people can see what our great capital city has to offer, but then also roll this out across the country. We're not going to give figures at this time. We'll start with a pilot. We're confident that will be successful and then have those opportunities all around the country.
And it's hotting up as Britain sizzled with its warmest day of the year so far today, as temperatures reached 23 degrees in the south of England. Hampshire saw the highest temperature and was warmer than Ibiza, Rhodes and Cyprus. But it's not time to get the paddling pool out just yet. Temperatures are set to fall this weekend as cooler air moves down from the north. Those are the latest GB News headlines. More in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm Lee Anderson, the Reform UK Member of Parliament for Ashfield. And joining me on the show tonight, we've got Nigel Nelson. He's the Chief Political Commentator for GB News. Locked horns with him already this week. And the left in the corner, blackboard, has gone. And we hear that Matthew Stadland's stolen that. That's in his bedroom as we speak. And also we've got writer and broadcaster Emma Wall. Thanks, guys, for joining me on the show. Angela Rayner insists that her workers' rights bill will boost the economy. But my friend, my old mucker, Richard Tice, says she's delusional. Is she delusional, Nigel?
No. The whole point of the Employment Rights Bill is it will make recruitment and retention for firms better. It'll lower training costs, and that actually boosts the economy. So if you could actually get workers to stay in their job, and that's what the Employment Rights Bill will do, that has huge economic benefits, apart from the extra money in their pockets, which will end up spending.
So if it does all that, Nigel, why don't businesses already do it?
Well, a good business would do the kind of things that go wrong. It's things like fire and rehire, which will now be outlawed. This was a really pernicious practice where you fire workers and then rehire them on lower wages and conditions. That disappears. That's a good thing. 0 hours contracts, they were being misused. Now, the way the system will work now is people will have guaranteed hours, which is much better for them and much better for the company. They can plan much better, and if people want to do 0 hours, they can carry on.
Emma.
Well, when Nigel talks about boosting the economy, I'm not sure what planet he's on. Yeah. On the government's own impact assessment, this workers' bill package is estimated to cost British business £5 billion extra per year. Look, we all want fair working conditions for primarily British workers. Of course we do. But the fact is, Angela Rayner is making it impossible for entrepreneurs, for small business owners, for employers to operate in this country. Between her and the Chancellor, you know, they really are. They talk about growth endlessly. And actually what they're doing is the absolute opposite. Things like, of course, we don't want exploitative working practices, but things like 0 hours contracts, actually they can work at times for seasonal work, when you need extra staff at Christmas, things like Wimbledon when you need extra staff. They can actually be good for employers and employees. Some people want that flexibility. There are things like you can take your employer to a tribunal from the first day of employment. That can't be right.
So how does that work then?
Madness.
You're a small little shop, you've got 2 employees, you're thinking about expanding a little bit, opening another room above the shop or at the back. You recruit somebody, and that you find out after 2 days that that employee is no good, is damaging the firm. You can't get rid of them because they've got rights from day one. That puts this little business in a bit of a pickle.
You can get rid of them. That's the point. It built into that. I mean, this is where the bill has actually already been watered down from the original proposals to make it work better. So the idea at the moment is a probation period, probably of 9 months. It hasn't been sorted out yet. The unions wanted 6 months, but the government are talking about 9 months. During that 9 months, if you turn out to be useless, but
what if you're useless on week 1?
Well, you're in your probation period, so you can go. What it does mean is that if you are discriminated against unfairly, you will have the right to go to an industrial tribunal from day one. But that is specifically for discrimination. If you're just not up to the job, then the employer can get rid of you.
Well, we all know how these discrimination laws work, so we all know how loopholes are being used. Do the Chancellor and Angela Rayner, I mean, the fact that Nigel mentions it was watered down, it just shows you what the package was like when she started. Do they want growth or not? Because at the moment, all I'm seeing is decline. Why do you think people are leaving the UK in record numbers?
Well,
why do you think? Because they are making it so difficult to operate.
Nigel, I visit good businesses on a weekly basis, really good local SMEs in Ashfield who do a great job, but they think this is the wrong thing. Why?
Well, first of all, I think that every time that you improve the rights of workers, business tends to whinge about it.
No, so these are businesses that's got staff that's been with them 30, 40 years. They're good employers.
Well, in which case, they will not be affected. It won't change their business model at all.
They're affected by the increase in national insurance contributions, tax increases, the huge economic impact on business.
And that's another thing. I've got one firm in Ashfield. Well, there's lots of firms, obviously. They've got 200 employees. The NIC rise, Nigel, is going to cost him £250,000 a year. And I said, where are you going to find that money from? It says, no pay rise next year for my staff.
Well, I mean, I think that the NIC rise especially is going to affect lower paid workers because proportionately the increase is the increase.
So how is that going to boost growth?
Well, the point about that, it's not about boosting growth when it comes to national insurance. It's a point about where do you get 20 to 25 billion pounds from, which is sorely needed by the Treasury and therefore the economy. Once you've actually ruled out.
How about we just scrap GB Energy, foreign aid, foreign climate aid, all this nonsense, net zero.
Okay, well take GB.
There's a 25 billion.
Take GB Energy as an example.
Where you choose to get it from.
But if we're going for economic growth, the direction of travel in the world is towards green technology. The idea of GB Energy is that we'll be on the ground floor of developing that technology, so we sell it to other countries rather than buy it. If all that works out, and I do appreciate there's a bit of an if there, if it all works out, you're talking about an extra 650,000 jobs.
Nigel's saying that with a straight face, Emma.
I know, exactly. I mean, look, Rayner could be cracking down on illegal barbers, illegal car washes, Vietnamese nail bars. There's plenty of places that she could be cracking down on instead of hitting British business where it hurts. And the fact is, you know, actually, net zero, GB Energy is a complete, utter laughing stock. No one's actually worked out what they're going to do.
Apart from pay chief exec about 600 grand a year.
Exactly, and it's where you choose to take that money, because as you refer to, those businesses in Ashfield which are, facing massive national insurance costs, statutory sick pay, things like that. Yeah. That really is not easy when you are a small business.
No.
And who will suffer in the end? Employers will suffer. Employees will suffer because they won't get their pay rise and they'll be laid off.
Yep, Nigel.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't work that way if businesses are operating properly.
Oh, dear.
And I mean, look,
but Nigel, nobody on the front
mean?
bench has ever run a business. I mean, why are these people making these decisions? And not one of them has even run a corner shop.
Well, I mean, I actually think being a politician is a professional job. I mean, you wouldn't expect your doctor to have previously been a bin collector and had experience out there.
But he's not making policy on bin collection.
So what politicians do? They should be professional politicians, but that sort of is a separate issue.
Isn't that the problem that they are professional politicians?
Well, no, I would think that being in politics now is actually a skilled job,
really,
a professional job.
Really.
And what you have then is you have civil servants behind you to put in place the policies you come up with.
No, but look at what is happening. Look at the unintended consequences. Someone like Angela Rayner making policy, making these random, wildly socialist decisions, making policy on business when she has not run a business, doesn't understand how work works. What about Bridget Phillipson making horrible decisions about education when she has no education experience whatsoever? This is really
It's not
dangerous.
how our political system works, though. I mean, the whole thing is that cabinet ministers don't have to have done the job that they're doing. Would Bridget Phillipson be a better or worse education secretary had she previously been a doctor? So the whole point of our system is that you guys, politicians, make the policies.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people.
You then have an impact assessment to see if they work.
There's plenty of people in Parliament, Nigel, plenty of MPs. I never got it the first time round. We've got people who've been GPs, doctors, consultants, and we'll put nowhere near the health team, the ministerial health team. I'm thinking, this is bonkers. These are people that's worked in the NHS. These should be on the front bench discussing and developing policy.
Of course they should. And if you look at the state of our front bench at the moment, of the cabinet and of the Prime Minister, I think they should hang their heads in shame. Yeah. Because the basics,
are we going to have
basics
Nigel,
governance, and it's
are we going to have a spring of discontent, do you think, or is it already here?
Well, I mean, certainly, if you lived in Birmingham, you would think that...
We'll get onto that later. But it's not looking good at the moment, is it?
Well, it is looking good in certain areas. For instance, that in the last few days, the people on the lowest wages, the national minimum wage, have seen a £1,400 a year increase. Yeah. Those people are better off. There's no way you can actually argue that they're
not if they lose their jobs.
Yeah.
We have the government, we have the Prime Minister over the past week or so constantly saying, we are putting more money in your pockets. They're not. Employers are going to have to stump up for that.
Yeah.
People
are going to be laid off.
Final word, Nigel.
Well, I mean, good businesses don't need to lay off people. The important thing is that managers should manage, but they should look after their workforce at the same time.
There you go. That's
not right about good businesses. There are plenty of good businesses right now that are struggling.
They are struggling. I visit them every single week, Nigel. They are struggling because of what this government's doing. But look, that's enough of that. Coming up next, we've got Real World, Real People with Ahsen Ahmed.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Interesting research here, because on the one hand it looks as though awareness of ADHD and the symptoms is rising because of TikTok and influencers promoting the symptoms of TikTok, but there's also research that suggests that usage of TikTok itself can cause ADHD. So how do we kind of untangle this?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a double whammy, really, because I think, as you say, on the one hand, you've got this almost like social contagion of increased awareness of symptoms that either are ADHD or, as you have pinpointed, mimic ADHD. And we know that increased and excessive screen time, not just TikTok actually, but all social media time, mimics ADHD. Anyone that has a child and has witnessed their own child spending, obsessive time scrolling through social media or gaming and seeing what that does to a child, particularly, I think, young children's attention.
Yeah, my best friend, she was telling me, oh, yeah, I've known her since she was 4 years old. And she was chatting to me the other day and she goes, you know what? I've got ADHD. That's, well, if you've got it, I've got it. It's ridiculous. There are so many people saying they've got it. It's getting to epidemic proportions. Isn't it a bit ridiculous, all these people claim they've got it? What is it? What is it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I completely agree. I think it is absolutely ridiculous. And I agree. I'm being tongue-in-cheek about TikTok. I do. My personal view is that TikTok is uniquely awful. I think it is absolutely mindless. Does anyone ever feel good after scrolling on TikTok? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there will be some people. So, I do accept these platforms are different for different people. I do think, though, we have to really ask, why is there this apparent explosion of ADHD and this rush for everyone to diagnose themselves?
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is GB News, the People's Channel. It's time for Real World and Real People, and I've got Ihsan Ahmed with me, who is a property guru. I've been reading your notes earlier, Ihsan. You started off renting from a landlord. Now you've sort of switched roles and you're renting properties out, advising people about how to rent rooms and properties. I want to ask you a question, because we have a housing crisis in this country where people can't get housing, they struggle to find a room or a flat or whatever, and I want you to solve it in the next 8 minutes.
I'd love to. Look, I think it's quite a simple solution, Lee. I think we at Right Room, we're doing things slightly different. So we're not like traditional agents who only focus on whole lettings of whole properties. We actually have a core focus on rooms, and we found that a lot of landlords, especially older gentlemen who have rooms in their houses, vacant rooms in their houses, are coming to us to help them get lodgers. And that's something that over the years used to be the norm previously, but more so now it's becoming frowned upon, which doesn't really make sense to me. So as we've gone into this niche, we found that by carefully vetting the tenants and hopefully getting a good relationship between the landlord and the lodger, the house becomes or creates more of a community feel. And it does two things. So for the landlord, it gives them extra income, which is obviously much needed in, given the cost of living crisis, etc. And for the lodger and the landlord, there's a sense of a community. So there's the potential of a relationship where, they can become friends and hopefully...
You said earlier about this is how it used to be back in the day, and it did. You used to have a landlord or landlady, and you'd have 3 or 4 lodgers in the house. Now we sort of, especially in Ashfield where I live, we have these HMOs, houses of multiple occupancy. I'm not a big fan of those because the landlord doesn't live there. So they put in 4 or 5 blokes in who are not always behaving themselves, and they create problems on the in the local community on the street.
Correct.
But the idea of a landlord, a respected landlord, with 3 or 4 or 5 professional people in who go to work and pay the taxes and pay the dues, that sounds like a good idea to me.
It is, I mean, so far it's worked a treat, and we've got many examples of successful relationships that have come about as a result of that. And so far we've never had an issue where there's been a problematic relationship. And that's predominantly down to the fact that we vet the tenants quite well. And the landlord gets to meet who's going to be moving in, and ultimately they have the final say.
Yeah, that's good.
So we manage that relationship.
So you got the landlords making a few bob as well, which is good. Yeah. And also the tenants, because obviously it's going to be much cheaper to rent a room
100%.
Rather than rent a full flat or a house. It gives them a chance to save for the deposit or to get their own place eventually.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, we all know that the cost of living crisis is real.
Yeah.
Inflation is through the roof, and it's becoming harder and harder for the younger generation to go out and buy homes. So in order to move out of their parents' house, they have to go and live in a room.
Yeah.
And that's the solution where they can hopefully save a few bob, like you said.
And what sort of security of tenancy have the lodgers got?
So it's predominantly a lodgers agreement.
Yeah.
And it varies depending on what the landlord requires. So typically it's either 6 months or 12 months, but we do leave it quite flexible. And what I mean by that is, like, if after a couple of months, mutually it doesn't work out, there's no strings attached. We don't force them to stay in that property over a long period of time. And effectively it has to be mutual. The relationship has to be mutual, and both of them should feel comfortable.
Well, it's a big thing, though, isn't it, Sam, to open your house up to strangers.
Yeah.
And some people would say it is a bit of a gamble to do that, but if it works, it can work really well for both partners, can't it, really?
Absolutely. I mean, especially what we've seen is that a lot of the living landlords, they'll have maybe a separate kitchen, a small kitchenette in the house, which means that if they've got a separate bathroom, kitchenette and a room, there is a segregation of facilities, which means that they don't get into each other's way too much. Obviously where the residents are predominantly working or students, they've got their own life.
Yeah.
So there's only certain times we'll see.
So it all sounds good. It sounds like you're doing okay. What sort of barriers have you had whilst you've been doing this?
Barriers to entry has more so come as we've grown. So as our name has got out there, and we've started to.
And what's your company name again?
It's Right Room.
Right Room.
Yeah, Right Room. Yeah.
Sounds a bit like Right Move.
It's funny you say that. So recently we've had a little bit of a run-in with Right Move.
Yeah.
And who've sort of seen our growth. Who've seen we get quite a lot of positive reviews on Google. And they've reached out to us with effectively a cease and desist, which is basically saying that our name is too similar to theirs and our branding is similar to theirs, etc.
But I will tell you this, Ehsan, that we have contacted Rightmove. GB News has contacted them for a comment on this, and they declined to comment. But you can carry on.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I feel like we as a company, we've been registered, trademarked since 2021, and our branding and our operation is completely different to theirs.
Yeah, I mean, you're renting rooms out, aren't you?
Exactly.
In people's houses, they're renting flats and properties out.
Exactly.
I don't see what the problem
and not just that. I mean, we're an agency; they're a portal.
Yeah.
So we're in a completely different niche, and our branding's nothing like theirs. So we've not heard nothing back. And to be honest with you,
perhaps you should write to them and get them to change their name.
Yeah.
That seemed fair, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if an aspiring landlord rang you or came knocking on your door, what sort of advice would you give to them?
Okay, so I think with each landlord, the advice cannot be the same.
Okay.
It will be bespoke to their needs and what they're looking to do. Perhaps they're a first-time landlord who's got one property and that's all they want. In which case, they may want something hands-off. They just want to completely just get rid of the headache and the hassles of dealing with tenants, which is something we can do. Or there may be a landlord who's got a portfolio of properties or wants to grow their property. So our service is bespoke depending on the landlord, and each landlord gets a tailor-made service depending on where they want to be and where they are currently.
Yeah. What about insurance? Obviously, need some special insurance for this.
Insurance-wise, I mean, you have your standard building insurance, and then tenants who are in the property can have their own contents insurance. So it's not massively different, to be honest.
I'm currently looking for a flat in London. I've been living in a hotel for 4.5 years now. I'm getting a little bit fed up of doing that, so I'm looking for a room somewhere, so I might come knocking on your door. Hey Sam, thanks for that.
Pleasure, very nice to meet you.
Coming up next, we've got right versus left.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as
and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This Sunday on GB News Breakfast, we've got a special treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon, this Sunday from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
It's time for right versus left. We've got Emma Wolfe and Nigel Nelson. We clashed our horns, locked horns earlier this week.
We did.
This Birmingham debacle, Nigel. And I raised this issue in Parliament earlier this week about the rats and the rubbish. Have a look at this clip.
We have Birmingham Labour MPs campaigning for a new airport in Pakistan. Meanwhile, we have rats the size of cats in Birmingham feasting on a month's worth of rubbish courtesy of the trade union friends of the party opposite. Simple question to the Minister. When is this rubbish going to be cleared?
Minister. Well, we both share the intention and the ambition that as soon as possible there should not be any further delay in reaching agreement when it's quite clear with the volume of waste that's being collected that is proving to be a waste hazard. And he will know with his background as a councillor that it's for the council as a local employer to resolve this with the trade unions by agreement, and that's what we want.
So there we go, Nigel. Rats the size of cats. The latest reports, rats the size of small sheep.
They're going up.
Yeah, they're gaining in size. They're feasting on 18,000 tonnes of rubbish. And the only things in this country at the moment who are better off under this Labour government are the rats in Birmingham.
Well, I mean, we both agree that what is happening in Birmingham is a disgrace. And the sooner this dispute is settled, the better. And then the rats can all start going back and slimming again. But at the moment, the issue is basically between the union and between Birmingham Council. And the important thing is that Birmingham Council sits down with Unite and tries to sort this out to end the dispute.
Pathetic, Emma. When I hear these words, council and unions, and it's, oh my God.
Well, who else? Who else
As you
would do
say,
it?
18,000 tonnes of rubbish. The Prime Minister, Labour MP Tahir Ali, he's been out campaigning in Kashmir for his airport. 20 other Labour MPs are supporting him. This is a Labour-run council, utterly incompetent. This is the basics of governance.
Yeah.
The basics of governance is you empty the bins.
Yeah.
You've got residents paying their council tax for what? 18,000 tonnes of rubbish. We've got a heat wave, well, we've got high temperatures, we've got rotting food, we've got rats the size of, well, you're saying sheep.
Yeah,
The last I heard it was elephants, but I mean, you know, for goodness sake, this is a major health hazard.
Yeah.
This is absolutely insanitary. It's disgusting for local residents. What is going on?
Rats, reports of rats in this last week, Nigel, attacking residents, you know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But it is ridiculous, and I agree with you. And this is the whole point: is how do you actually end it? And the way to end it is to settle the dispute. And you can't settle the dispute unless the people on the managers on one side, which is Birmingham Council, and the union on the other, which is Unite, get together.
This council is £3 billion in debt. This is a Labour-run council.
This is one of the UK's biggest cities. This is an embarrassment. Meanwhile, our Prime Minister spends most of his time across the channel in
sticking
Europe,
his chest out,
posturing with a bunch of other European leaders, taking his jacket off for Ukraine. Of course it matters what's going on in Europe. But, primarily focus on the UK, sort things out here, because this country is in a terrible state.
Nigel, why aren't these councillors rolling their sleeves up, getting out on the streets and clearing this rubbish up?
I don't know. And if they thought that would help, they might do. But at the moment, that would involve crossing picket lines. So therefore, we go back to the basic situation, which is we need to settle the dispute. And where we are with the dispute is because of the actions by Birmingham City Council to demote people, take up to £8,000 away a year away from them. That's the heart of the dispute. That's the union claim. Even the council admits that some people will be £6,000 a year
Isn't it interesting?
worse
It's
off.
because the unions have been emboldened, haven't they? They've been emboldened by
Yes, that's
Starmer.
what I said earlier this week.
Or you're dealing with unfair practices by the council.
It's not unfair practices.
It is the union's job.
It's a specialist role. They wanted someone walking beside the bins, beside the bin lorries.
It's the union's role to look after their members, and that is what they're doing, which is perfectly right. That's what a
The thing
union
is, though,
should
Emma,
do.
you've got a chief exec on this council earning £260,000 a year. You'll have other senior officers all on six figures, we know, with gold-plated pensions. You've got a council leader on 71 grand a year.
They're not affected by
The total
this.
wage bill for the councillors alone is £2.3 million a year.
So where's the
Is
money?
it time to drain the swamp?
Yes, it's time to drain the swamp. Where's the money going? Where's all that money going?
Exactly.
Local residents are paying whatever it is, our council tax, all of us, for this entire country, despite what the Prime Minister said. You will not pay a penny more on your council tax. Rip up that council tax bill. All of that stuff that he promised before the election, people are paying and they're not even having their
It's a fair
bins
point,
collected.
Nigel.
I don't mind redistributing a bit of wealth. That'd be fine. So
The only thing that's been redistributed, Nigel, is filth on the streets of Birmingham. And he did say, Keir Starmer, he wouldn't raise council tax. Council tax has gone up, the rubbish has gone up, the rat population has gone up, and people are living in filth.
Well, I agree with all those things. And we go back to the issue about solving it. There's no point saying, oh, it's all terrible, it's all terrible. It is.
So what about the Prime Minister got them into Downing Street and banged some heads together? What about he said, it's bins, sort it out?
It is not the responsibility of central government to solve a local dispute.
He can take on.
And they do have a government-appointed commissioner in Birmingham.
It is his job. Sorry, he thinks he can take on the President of the United States.
Yeah.
He thinks he can sort out a war between Russia and Ukraine, but he can't sort out collecting some bins in Birmingham.
It is not the Prime Minister's job to sort out...
It's not my job.
It's not his job to start recommending Netflix documentaries across our education system.
Well, I would say that's very much his job. I mean, that's what Prime Ministers should be doing, but they should be leading. Now, there is this government-appointed commissioner. They could certainly central government could give that commissioner instructions, but the question comes down to, will they pay these people the money they should be having?
Real leadership, Nigel. The Prime Minister today could send the army in to clean this rubbish up if he wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think we need soldiers as bin collectors. I don't think that's the answer to this.
You might feel differently if you lived in Birmingham. You might feel differently, actually.
I'd probably want to move. I mean, I appreciate how horrible it is for the residents who are there.
But they can't move.
No, I know. I mean, I said I would probably want to move if one could. But the idea of the army going in, no, is not the answer either. And they've already declared a major incident. They've got 34 bin collection trucks coming in. So they are doing something about it, but still, the best way of getting this sorted is settle the dispute.
You touched on a point earlier, which I raised in Nigel earlier this week. The unions have become emboldened. Although I have got some sympathies with the bin men, but the unions are becoming emboldened. They've seen the huge pay rises. You know, the junior doctors, public sector workers,
train drivers.
You know what? I'm having some of that.
Of course. And that's where we get to.
Yeah.
And you say it's not the Prime Minister's job, it's not their business. It is their business. Absolutely is. It's not their business to be out in Kashmir campaigning for airports.
Yeah.
Well, they wrote a letter about Kashmir. So,
why?
Because the focus is not on the UK.
I do think you're right there. Your focus as an MP should be on local issues.
Right, guys.
But on this one, all they did was write a letter.
Right, it's time for the yes or no quiz. Emma, you're pretty good on this.
I think I have a 99% record.
You've only played Stephen Pan, haven't you?
Sadler, loads of lefties. I take them on and defeat them.
Number one for you, Emma. Will Angela Rayner's Workers' Right Bill boost the economy?
No.
Nigel?
Yes.
Straight face, unbelievable. Nigel, do British people feel better off under Labour?
Yes.
Another straight face. Emma?
No.
Emma, is Trump right to impose tariffs on US imports?
Yes.
No.
Number four, Nigel, have you watched Adolescence?
Yes.
No.
And Emma, will Starmer smash the gangs?
No.
Yes.
5-5. It's a tie break. I slipped that Adolescence one in, Nigel, because we were speaking about this before we started filming. I mean, I watched 2 episodes, probably 1.5, and I just thought, well, what's all this rubbish about here? It was depressing, it was boring.
I recommend you actually watch the whole lot.
Yeah.
And I do think it's the best sort of social drama about Britain since Boys on the Black Stuff took on Thatcherism. So that was back in the 80s, so it's a long time ago. It's something that parents ought to know about. And it's something that kids ought to see as well, which is why it's...
So, Emma, how often a white working class boy has been radicalised?
Being demonised. Look, I'm really depressed by this, the fact that the Prime Minister's come out and said this drama is going to be shown in our secondary schools. I mean, we need serious men for serious times, and this is just so... the idea, I mean, critics can have a view on it. Yeah, it's a Netflix drama. Parents can have a view on it. People can watch it if they want to. This is not something you roll out across the education system. Absolutely not.
I think in answer to your question about why a white boy being radicalised, I mean, again, bear in mind it was a drama.
It's a drama.
It applies to kids of whatever ethnic background. Reason for a white boy is it helped the narrative to explain what was going on without bringing race into it. There is a black lad in the series who is also affected by this. His father is the chief investigating officer who doesn't understand what the kids are actually experiencing. And these are the kind of things, the kind of issues this drama brings out.
But no, that's not true. You say using a white boy doesn't bring race into it. Yes, it does.
Well, only because you're mentioning you're mentioning the radicalisation of white boys.
How many radical attacks have we had carried out by white people?
We're talking about incel radicalisation as opposed to terrorist radicalisation. But I mean, it is a simpler way of explaining it. An ordinary white working class family, what happens to them when their child goes off the rails, and how social media has affected them.
Come on, Nigel. Stabbing somebody in a playground is a little bit more than off the rails.
Indeed, and then if you watch episode number 3, you would actually see that, because this lad turns out to be somebody who can't control his rages, who is violent, and probably would have killed somebody anyway, but not that particular girl at that particular time in that particular place.
So he's not been radicalised then?
But he has been radicalised in the sense by online.
Come on, Emma, can I have the final word on this?
Well, no, I just think it's people don't seem to be clear whether it was actually based on truth. I think it's a very, very confusing documentary to be showing. Sorry, drama to be showing in our schools.
And all these
education, not dramas.
MPs in Parliament saying everybody should watch it. What a load of nonsense. And
Starmer jumps on that immediately.
They need to crack on with the job. But coming up next, we've got Last Orders with Nathan Campbell.
Can't wait to get in that sea. Lovely and warm. Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
After some very strong winds in recent days in the Canaries, things looking a little calmer as we head into next week. Plenty of sunshine over the central Med. There's a weather front approaching Madeira. That'll bring some rain later on through the weekends. Plenty of showers over northern Spain on Saturday, but much of the south of Spain dry and sunny. Some of those showers could affect Barcelona. Plenty of showers across Greece and Turkey as well. Quite a sunny Saturday for Italy. Temperatures rising in Barcelona by Sunday before turning colder next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Evening. Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The sunny skies that many of us have had through this week will continue through the weekend, but then so will that slightly frustrating wind. It's all thanks to high pressure sitting to the north, bringing the settled weather, bringing the sunshine, but the winds go clockwise around high pressure, so drawing in some cooler air from the North Sea, and that will also generate a little bit of mist and low cloud. That's going to spill in through the night, making for a fairly grey start to Saturday across the Midlands, eastern England and eastern Scotland. It'll be a chilly start as well, certainly through some sheltered glens. We'll have a frost maybe down to -3 or -4, +3, +4 in most towns and cities. It will be a drab start over the East Midlands, much of eastern England and eastern Scotland, and this har may well stick around for a good chunk of the day on the coast, but inland it should clear away. Chilly start, yes, as I mentioned, a touch of frost, but a cracking day on the west coast of Scotland. Plenty of sunshine again for Northern Ireland, West Wales, Northwest England, Southwest England too, but it will be a cloudy start for parts of the Midlands and eastern England. Pretty hopeful that mist and low cloud will break up pretty sharply through the morning, so that certainly by late morning it's sunny almost everywhere, just with the potential for some of this mist and low cloud to stick to some North Sea coast with that breeze coming in. Now that breeze will have an impact on the day. It'll look fine and sunny, it'll look quite warm, but it'll feel cooler because of that breeze. We should still get to 18, 19, perhaps even 20 across the south, but that wind will make it feel fresher. Those North Sea coasts, some places are going to stick in single digits, and that wind will really make it feel quite fresh. That breeze is still there across eastern Scotland and the Northern Isles on Sunday. Again, some har at times, but again, for most places, Sunday's another cracking day. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures are touched down, but the winds are a little bit lighter on Sunday. The winds are easing through next week, and the sun, for most of us, will continue to shine.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Well, that sounds like last orders at the bar. I've got Nathan Campbell with me, who's a reality TV star, married at first sight, hunk, heartthrob, and just genuine all-rounder, nice guy, everything, yeah. Mate, married at first sight, what's all that about? How did you get involved in that?
So, it's a bit of a whirlwind. It came out of nowhere, really. Just the generic, text message. You reckon this is something you'd be interested in doing?
How did they get your number?
Oh, it's only like through social media,
Okay.
But, there's an application process as well. So I put my name in and went through it. And then all of a sudden congratulations, like you're on the...
So now you're obviously married, got kids?
No. Fortunately,
So
that relationship didn't work out.
So it's not worked out. But you've got a lovely lady at the moment.
Yeah.
Abigail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see her. She's smiling at the back there. So if you're looking out there, ladies, that is taken.
Yeah.
So when you're on these reality TV shows, are you actually being yourself when you're on there, or is it a bit of acting as well?
Oh, no, I was 100%. I couldn't wear a mask if I tried, Like, I am a bit... I didn't realise how goofy I was. But yeah, no, I couldn't wear a mask at all.
Oh, your teeth look all right to me. You know what I mean?
They're a little bit crooked,
Okay.
A little bit crooked.
Not had the turkey teeth done yet.
Nah,
normally when we get the reality TV stars on, they come on with these. I have to put my sunglasses on. They got these turkey teeth.
Nah, it's not a bit of me. I'll embrace the pearly yellows.
Well, listen, it says on your notes, I read your notes here on that you've got, I won't say suffer with ADHD because I think that's the wrong word.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people with ADHD, they class it as a superpower, they excel in something.
100%.
So tell me about that.
So I was diagnosed with ADHD at age of 11. I didn't really have behavioural problems necessarily. I would just daydream out the window at school, wouldn't write anything down, and because of that, I got punished quite a lot.
Sounds like me, that does.
Right, yeah. So I was looking out the window. I was in isolation a lot every day. So I got homeschooled for a year, and then I was diagnosed with ADHD and suspected autism as well. So my communication's not typical. So yeah, I struggled a lot at school, but then I learnt that I'm quite a practical worker.
Good.
So I applied that to plastering, learnt plastering, and I got all my diplomas that are in vehicle accident repair, body and paint, plastering. So I got a load of qualifications, but none from school.
So I'm a great believer, Nathan, in that everybody is good at something.
Yeah.
And I think as we have a responsibility as teachers, as trainers, as politicians, whatever, to find out what that young person's good at.
Yeah.
Because I think once you can find that out and channel their energy and focus them on what they're good at, they can have a really good, successful career.
100%, especially if you've got ADHD, you can really hyper-focus into something you're interested in.
Yeah.
And you can excel really well.
So you told me earlier, before we came on, about some charities that you're involved in as well. I mean, you're involved in a cancer charity, is that true?
I do a lot of charity work. I do celeb soccer. So we do all sorts of charities, whether it be brain tumour research, men's mental health, which is a really cool one, especially with ADHD. Mental health is really important to me.
Yeah.
So we do loads of different charity works.
I'm interested in the mental health one for men, obviously, because I've helped set up our own charity back in Ashfield, where I represent. It's a male suicide support group. It's called In the Light in the Shadows. We've had a couple of friends who lost their sons to male suicide, biggest killer of men under the age of 50 in this country. So it's something that's close to my heart. And I guess some of these, like you said earlier, Nathan, they're suffering from ADHD or some sort of mental illness as well.
Well, that's it, yeah. The thing is, when you've got an overactive brain, if you've got one negative thought, it can really snowball into a big one. And if you haven't got the right support network around you, you can really get into a dark place. And I have been in a dark place, particularly when I was younger, with my mental health, with ADHD. But after I was diagnosed, it helped me navigate my path.
So how did you snap out of that then? Was it just a diagnosis that...
So it wasn't a diagnosis. I feel like being diagnosed helped me understand myself. And then it was just figuring out what I was good at. But growing up, I struggled with relationships, building friendships. Even now, my friendship group's really small because it's hard to find people that get you, because you don't think, you don't communicate the same. it's all a bit different. So,
so what about school friends then? Have you still got the same?
Yeah, I've got my best mate Harry. Yeah, my best mate Harry, and family.
Excellent.
Big brother and that, really close.
So Harry's stuck with you. This is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're still behind the bar. Are you a drinker?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a little bit. Yeah, I was out last night as well.
Have you poured a pint before?
Yeah. No.
Well, get one of them coloured glasses, please, Nathan.
So one of them now.
The coloured glass. Have we got one? Oh, there's one here. Look. Yeah. Get that one. And it's the old neck oil, the easy one.
Yeah.
I see how you did that. Yeah. So you've got 30 seconds to pour the perfect pint, and I'm sure that you won't be laughed at. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'll make it properly good for you, mate.
That's it. Yeah. Not a good start, is it?
Yeah, that's all right.
It's and just plonk it on the bar when you've done.
Okay, mate.
Oh my goodness! I mean, oh dear.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, so if you did that behind the bar in London, they're charging £6 or £7 for a pint, and you just scrape the froth off with your finger, what sort of response do you think you would get?
Don't know, mate.
Abigail, I think you need a new fella. He's just probably one of the worst. I'll give you 5 out of 10 for that.
Ain't nothing wrong
But
with
look,
that.
I mean, you must have a massive social media presence.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yeah. To be honest, I'm quite old-fashioned, so I struggle a little bit with the old.
Old-fashioned? How old are you?
Well, I'm 26, but I mean, like when I type, I'm like this. I don't understand a lot of it, so
that's like my dad. That is.
I'm a bit slow.
He's got his glasses like that. It's like that. But there's a bit of bullying on. Is it Instagram? Is that your main thing?
A few of them, yeah. So TikTok, Instagram. I like to update my followers and stuff that that I've gained through doing the TV.
Yeah.
But it is cool to let them know what we're doing. But it is Instagram and like everything. It's only the happy side you see on Instagram, you know.
So you look a certain way. You're well manicured, well groomed.
Yeah.
You know, you look the part. Nathan.
I like to invest in myself.
No, it's fine. It's, you take pride in your appearance, which is it's got to be a good thing. But I see online these days, especially with school children using filters on the social media profiles. A lot of pressure on young people to look a particular way, and with that comes a little bit of nasty bullying as well.
Yeah, it can do. I mean, look, I put a filter on myself, do you know what I mean? Sometimes with these 4K cameras, mate, your face looks a bit shiny, you got a spot here and that, so I put a filter on. I don't care, but as long as it's one of those things where it's like, social media is social media, and I feel like it's to be expected. Like, everyone uses a filter. I love a filter.
And now, do you get any nasty messages on social media?
Not particularly.
Or any inappropriate messages from women?
Oh, yeah.
Abigail, cover your ears up.
Yeah. So, one or two, one or two.
And how do you deal with that?
Well, I don't really read at them. I mean, a couple of people asking for me socks and that, but I don't really want to entertain that.
That's mental health, surely.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want my socks. They've been on 3 days.
No. Anyway, what are you, 25, 26 now, did you say?
26, yeah.
26.
Just turned 26.
So let's just fast forward 4 years' time. You're going to be 30. What do you see yourself doing?
Investing in myself, believing in achieving, and living my best life.
Yeah. Married with children?
Maybe. I mean, I've done that before. It didn't really work out, so maybe put that on the old back burner for now.
Okay.
We'll leave that one for now.
That's not going down well over there, let me tell you. Listen, that's Nathan Campbell. Great guest. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
That's last.
Enjoy your pint.
Yeah, it's rubbish, mate. Yeah. Thanks for joining me on Lee Anderson's Real World. Been another cracking show with some really good guests. But coming up next, we've got State of the Nation.
Well, on State of the Nation tonight, the NHS full of cockroaches and pests, according to a bombshell new report. Well, why aren't we fixing the NHS with all of the money that we're spending overseas? We'll also be talking to an anti-abortion campaigner live tonight who has been attracting attention in the Trump presidency. Join me in a couple of minutes. State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening. Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The sunny skies that many of us have had through this week will continue through the weekend, but then so will that slightly frustrating wind. It's all thanks to high pressure sitting to the north, bringing the settled weather, bringing the sunshine, but the winds go clockwise around high pressure, so drawing in some cooler air from the North Sea, and that will also generate a little bit of mist and low cloud. That's going to spill in through the night, making for a fairly grey grey start to Saturday across the Midlands, Eastern England and Eastern Scotland. It'll be a chilly start as well, certainly through some sheltered glens. We'll have a frost maybe down to -3 or -4, +3, +4 in most towns and cities. It will be a drab start over the East Midlands, much of Eastern England and Eastern Scotland, and this har may well stick around for a good chunk of the day on the coast, but inland it should clear away. Chilly start, yes, as I mentioned, a touch of frost, but a cracking day on the west coast of Scotland. Plenty of sunshine again for Northern Ireland, West Wales, Northwest England, Southwest England too, but it will be a cloudy start for parts of the Midlands and Eastern England. Pretty hopeful that mist and low cloud will break up pretty sharply through the morning, so that certainly by late morning it's sunny almost everywhere, just with the potential for some of this mist and low cloud to stick to some North Sea coast with that breeze coming in. Now that breeze will have an impact on the day. It'll look fine and sunny, it'll look quite warm, but it'll feel cooler because of that breeze. We should still get to 18, 19, perhaps even 20 across the south, but that wind will make it feel fresher. Those North Sea coasts, some places are going to stick in single digits, and that wind will really make it feel quite fresh. That breeze is still there across eastern Scotland and the Northern Isles on Sunday. Again, some har at times, but again, for most places, Sunday's another cracking day. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures are touched down, but the winds are a little bit lighter on Sunday. The winds are easing through next week, and the sun, for most of us, will continue to shine.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m.